Hi, Jason here. Okay, so following our unboxing of the QNAP QHora-301W, alright, so today we're going to have a very basic look into the UI, the user interface, and what you can expect from the router. So for this video, it's going to be a very basic introduction. We will not go very in-depth into some of the other more advances, alright. So for the advanced information and features, we will be creating additional videos for it, okay. So without much ado, do remember, if you like our channel, please remember to subscribe. If you like our videos, please remember to like. And if you have any comments with regards to any of the videos that we have done, please feel free to let us know. Okay, we are definitely reachable on Facebook at TGN Tech, or you can also email us. Alright, so let me jump into the screen where we can see the login page. Right. So this is the login page for the QHora router. Okay, so the default IP number from the router itself is 192.168.100.1. Okay, the username default is admin, and the default username password would be on the bottom of the router. It's ticked on the label, and it's actually the MAC ID of the router. Okay, so in my case, I have actually changed the password to something that is easy for me, and also at the same time, for the ease of this video, I have also updated the firmware of the router, which was originally the default, and also at the same time I have set the country code for my Wi-Fi, which is I'm preparing for my next video. So let me log in and show you the router. Okay, right, so on the dashboard, there will be the first thing that you will see on the dashboard will be the health of your router, if everything is okay. Okay, so what are the main difference between the default firmware that came with the router as compared to the new one? Okay, so you will see that there is actually new stuff going on in the router. Okay, I will show you that some of the major first big difference is, okay, the language. Okay, originally the first version came only with 4 languages, and I have since updated the firmware, and you can see that right now there's many languages available. So if you're purchasing this router from anywhere in the world, do not worry, you are definitely able to communicate with it and configure it. Okay, other than that, alright, it will show you the status of connection, the Wi-Fi, which I've done. I've only done one group. Okay, there isn't any. Alright, and then my connection, I've actually connected my WAN at 10G, which you can see. Okay, now moving forth from the dashboard, the first thing you'll see is the QWAN, which is part of the SD-WAN for the orchestrator. Right, I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but if you want to do it, you need to log on with a QNAP ID, and then from there connect the router to your account for the orchestrator, and you'll be able to do the QWAN services. Okay, so let's look at the client list. Alright, so you have a list of devices that I've connected to the router. Alright, so I have my notebook, my laptop connected to the WAN and the LAN, and also I have the Wi-Fi connected to the LAN, and also at the same time I have a NAS that's connected. Now from the client list, you can also do some blocking of the clients if you wish. Alright, so other than client, you look at network. Okay, so I'm going to spend maybe half a minute on this. So this is where you can choose, okay, which port of your router is going to be the WAN. Okay, so the first option is to actually use the first gigabit port as your WAN, alright, or you can choose one of the 10G ports as your WAN. Okay, you can't use both 10G ports as your WAN. Okay, in any case, if you have 2 ISPs coming in from fiber, you can choose the third option, which is basically LAN 1 and LAN 2 will be your WAN, and you can do WAN aggregation. Okay, that's not something I'm going to talk about today, but just basically to show you the various definition of the network ports. Okay, so over here you can see that I have connected a device on the WAN 1, and also I have connected another device on the second 10G. Okay, so I've actually occupied both 10Gs for this video. Alright, so for the WAN, alright, you can see my 10G is occupied for the 10G1, 10G2 is also occupied. Alright, so for my LAN, okay, of course I have also used up one for 10G and one for the 1G. So that's for my notebook. Now for the VLANs, of course you can also add VLANs if you want. Okay, do note that 4094 VLAN is being taken to be used for the guest network, and you will have to start your VLAN from VLAN 3. Okay, VLAN 1 and VLAN 2 is not available, and you can only use on VLAN 3 to 4092. Okay. And for routing, of course, as usual, you can set up your static routings. Okay, it's all available. Now for the Wi-Fi, okay, being that this is the Wi-Fi 6 router, the current firmware only supports up to 80 megahertz. 160 megahertz will come following months. All right, it will be updated by firmware. You can update the firmware, and then you will give you Wi-Fi 660 megahertz, which will give you faster speed. Right. As usual, you can create up to 3 different groups for Wi-Fi, and you can have a guest network, and also, of course, there's also the WPS, because there's a WPS button at the back of the router. Okay. Now for the net firewall. Okay, let's move into the firewall. You can enable the firewall. You can add the rules. Okay, whatever rules you want, you can block by TCP UDP. All right. And at the same time, you also have your NAT, your ALG. Okay, you can enable or disable. All right, and your port forwarding, in any case, if you have any. All right, everything is very, very simple and very, very accessible. And at the same time, you can also set this router as a VPN server. And there are basically 3 settings. All right, so there's a Q belt. All right, so this is something that's hosted by QNAP, and it's very simple. You just have to download the app, okay, and run it, and you'll be able to connect it very simply. Of course, there's usual protocols, which is L2DP and also the OpenVPN. All right, so if they're connected, basically you see on your client list, and whatever happens, you'll be on the log. Okay. Now, one more interesting thing, being a parent, I would like to show you on the parental control. Okay, let me spend 20 seconds on it. You can basically enable it, and you can add a role. Okay, you can create one role where you can enable website filtering, and you can say, okay, let's say I'm going to block Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to add it in, and then I'm going to have safe search for YouTube for my kids, and make sure that nothing goes on Google and Bing. All right, so we can just apply. Okay, once that's applied, okay, so basically what's going to happen is you're going to add the device. Okay, you're going to add the device. So in my case, I could be adding my laptop. All right, so just to give you a very, very quick overview. Okay, so now that you know that for my rule number 2, okay, I have actually blocked Facebook. Okay, so what's going to happen is if I try to go and attempt to go to Facebook, okay, you'll just keep loading and loading and loading. You know why? Because the packets get dropped by the router itself. Okay, so that's a very, very quick illustration on the parental control. Okay, now for the system, in terms of operating modes, okay, you can use it purely as an AP because it's a Wi-Fi 6, okay, or you can use it as a wireless router. Okay, now they have the event logs, okay, system settings where you can name it, and then you can restart, store, and control the audio alerts. Okay, access control basically is to create accounts and also create users access. Now, there are 2 ports at the back of the router where you can attach USB devices. Now, do take note, when you're going to attach USB devices, you only accept FAT32, FAT16, FAT32, EXT234, and that's it. Okay, do take note of that. You can still activate it as a FTP server, alright, so it will still work, and you can limit the number of sessions, alright. So other than that, in terms of firmware, you can also schedule it to do the downloading, and you will be able to do everything for you. Alright, so that's a good thing about it. Alright, so generally speaking, this is the basic overview of what I have for you today. Okay, so in any case, if you have any questions with regards to the router, you can ask us in the comments or give us a feedback, and we will definitely, if we can't answer you, we'll get QNAP to answer it for you. Alright, thank you very much for your time, and appreciate it. Bye bye.